Hey everybody, how you doing today? Hope you're all having a great morning so far. Mine's been pretty nice. Again, not too busy like I have been last month or so, yeah, I feel like I'm ready to get started. Okay, so yesterday we were still updating the game system, just updating to the new better events and including some new functionality like being able to make multiple selections um, for the same player, and then updating the server and client architecture to make it not so complicated. So yeah, just doing a bunch of that kind of thing. And right now we've gotten to the part where we're actually going to run this sort function, and I should rename this because we're not sorting players, so this will be sort selections. Probably, yeah, I'm gonna need to go and update that name. It would be in the function registry in here. And I'll just rename this as well, I guess. Yeah, because used to we would sort the players in the order that their actions would take place, but now, since one player can make more than one selection, we'll sort the selections instead. But anyway, so in order to do this function, I had to update hidden information requests, and well, basically every client doesn't know every monster's statistics because, well, that's part of the fun of Pokemon, is trying to guess the other player's team. And so in my system, it's especially true because this client has no idea at all about what other clients' monsters' stats are. So it has to actually make a request because at this point it actually needs to know the stat. So and to do that, it has to actually send a message to the server that it wants to make a request, and then the server will forward that message to the correct client. And then the client will send a reply message to the server, and then the server will forward that to the client that originally asked for this hidden information. So, I mean, it sounds a bit more complicated than I hope it will be. That's kind of what I'm trying to update right now. And yeah, yesterday I just did kind of started on the framework for this. So we have that, and here we just need to dispose of the sender object, because otherwise it will keep on sending messages to the server, and we might not want that. And then we can actually just clear this. Oh yeah, open requests, clear. Okay, so rename this to on request, and it would give us this event. The first, I guess we check to make sure we're in the right phase. Okay, so since this is basically when we're in a phase we don't want, so let's actually do a function here. So private bool accepting requests. I guess we should put is just be clear. Okay, so if play state match phase does not equal. Oh, we don't really have to do this actually, because if the match phase is not in the turn phase, then the turn phase will automatically be set to none. So really I can just copy this. If it's on either of these, we'll return false. Otherwise, Turn true. Okay, so now I can simplify this to if is accepting requests is false, then we'll clear everything. Okay, and then similarly here, if we're not accepting requests, we'll just ignore this event. Okay, so I don't need to do that. Okay, so here it's checking to make sure that the request is actually something new, which I guess is probably a good thing to test. I guess that's why we had the equals. We don't need to do that. Okay, so that must be why I had the hash code and everything, because if you set equals, then you should also have this hash code. So that's fine. Although I haven't actually created the request object. So that might not be that helpful. So what is in this? Let's see. Anyway, if type is the previous type and owner index equals owner index, and then the stat index is the same as well. Okay, so if they're equal, then yeah, we'll tag this as not a unique request. And yeah, then we'd only want to create a new message if it is something unique. And then we just pass the relevant information across. And okay, and then I need to create the sender object. Okay, so I'm gonna need to hold on to this request object. Not a big deal. Oh, I don't even have a reference to it yet. So net send requests. Is that right? Yeah, okay. Call it that. Okay, so we'll need to pass it that object, and that's just kind of so it can register itself. And then the actual message. So new hidden info. Okay, let's see. What is okay, so I already have this get message. Yeah, so that's a lot cleaner, so I'll just use that. Oh, okay. I just remembered something. Yeah, the nice thing about this is that actually these messages can contain multiple requests at a time. Yeah, so, okay. So each request doesn't need a sender, now that I think about it. Okay, so some of this work I did is maybe a little obsolete. So really all we need is one message sender. This actually makes things a little simpler. Okay, so what I want to do, yeah, because, you know, for every request we can just compile that into one message. That way, yeah, we don't have to make a whole bunch to the server. New. Okay, so we have that. Okay, and we don't know the message yet, so I'll just set that to null. And this will be client hidden info request. And the period, what do I call this? Message, oh yeah. Okay, so anyway, now I don't have to worry about disposing quite as much. We can just add the message sender to our disposable list, and that will take care of that on its own. Okay, but maybe I should leave this actually, because it will first need to clear that and then also set the message sender active to false. Okay, so anyway, yeah, don't need to do that anymore. Okay, so yeah, I guess I'll need to have, refresh. Do I already have oh yeah, I do have this refresh sending, but I guess I deleted it. Okay, so anyway, I don't need to do this anymore, I think, because what's happening here is I didn't have a helper object that would automatically send the message every time. But I think this is kind of for testing. Yeah, and I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna test in a different way. I don't need that. Okay, so yeah, we'll want to set the message sender active only if open request count is greater than 0. Okay, so if I guess so if this is active, then well, we should do it the other way. I should probably set the message first before setting it active, just in case. I don't think my code actually does this, but we want to make sure that we set the message before there's any chance that this sender object could actually send the message to the server. That would be a problem. Okay. Okay, so right now I don't even worry about the type, but I think I'll just go ahead and add support for that. Oops, I forgot the case statement. And alright, so I just call this stat, but I'll rename it to monster stat. Because we'd probably handle other types of statistics differently. Okay, don't need this. Yeah, so this should actually be, instead of player, we should rename this to client index, because it's the client that we want to give us this information, which is maybe different than the player. In the case of hot seat. Okay, that's interesting. So okay, so I don't know, does this, I don't think that the game or the clients have a way to tell like what client a player is actually attached to. Because if it's like a hot seat player, then they don't have their own client. Okay, so maybe, okay, I'll just leave it player index, and I guess if I ever need to track that, I think the server will be the one to do it. Right, and then, yeah, this could just be owner index. And then we have to pass the stat name instead of the stat index, because we don't know for sure that these names are indexed in the same order. It has to do with the way the file system loaded scripts and things like that. Okay, so here, yeah, that's pretty simple. What's it complaining about? Oh, it's an override. Okay, I think... Oh no, well, we handle on request, but we don't handle when hidden information is received. So when hidden information is received, we'll just want to remove a specific request. Oops. So yeah, we'll need to do something like this. Although I guess it'd be a little different. So again, we're just checking to see if they have the same information, and if it does, then we want to remove that request here. But so I actually need to know the index to do that. So int I equals 0, I less than open request count. Okay, so okay, and I was gonna say we'll need to loop through this backwards, but we've already guaranteed that the requests are unique, so it's okay if I just do it like this. Okay, so we'll remove it, and we'll want to refresh sending again. This is a little inefficient, actually. But I guess I won't worry about it. We'll see what's going to happen is we'll also receive a bunch of replies from the server that have maybe been bundled together. And so this received event will be fired multiple times on the same frame with each individual hidden info request. And so basically we'll have to call this refresh sending multiple times as each is removed, but I guess if it's a real issue, it's not that difficult to fix. Well, actually, it could be a little difficult because we have to make sure that we update this message before message sender actually sends anything. So we can't really wait until the next frame to do that. Although, well, I think about it, because of the way the event system works, it actually is safe because these tickables run immediately before my own tick function. So what I could do is just have something like this. So private boolean rebuild message. So first we'll set this to false, and then we would just call refresh. Actually, okay, so I won't do this here. I just set rebuild message to true, and probably should do the same thing. Yeah, we have the same issue here actually, because we'll probably get multiple requests in the same frame. So this is actually a lot more efficient, and it still should be safe. I'm just gonna shuffle around some of these functions. Okay, so now I think I'll just do all the client side classes first. So this is what sends a request. So now we need the object that receives a request. Okay, so this actually, I don't know, what does it do? Okay. Oh, it receives the final value from the server. Oh yeah, this is a request receiver, okay. Yeah, the name is just really confusing. Let's just rename this to hidden info. I don't really need to put hidden info at the beginning actually, because they're in the hidden info namespace. So yeah, let's actually change this. Okay, and then this would be the reply receiver. Oops. Oh yeah, now they're gonna complain about the constructors, obviously. Okay, so yeah, let's do the request receiver now. And yeah, I'm not gonna use this base class that's deprecated. And this parent class just lets us use the event system. Okay, so instead of that, we'll just need play state. And okay, so we're gonna need Actually, I don't think I have to store any other objects here. So let's just regenerate the constructor so we don't have to type it all out. And then we'll also need the event queue to send up to my parent object, and we'll also need the message queue. To listen to messages from the server. Okay, so I forget the object. That, sorry, I'm trying to read these files over here. I forget the specific way that, oh, well, okay, no I don't actually. So, pickables, add, so it's a new, I think it's called for each message listener. Okay, we don't actually have a type for this, so let's go and create it. Actually, it looks like I forgot to commit the changes from last stream. That's very bad of me. Okay, so this will be hidden info request received. And then there'll be another one, which is, I guess since I'm already here, I'll just go ahead and create this message. I don't think I called it the hidden info. Yeah, I call it a value message. I don't really, well, it's okay, but and let's just go ahead and put all these hidden info messages in the same file since they're related. Okay, yeah, these are just messages that we can send over Unity's networking system. That's why we had to parent or inherit from message base here. Just gonna clean up the order here. I don't know, I probably don't have to tag an enumeration as serializable, but okay, yeah, so I wanted to rename this to hidden info apply. I guess value is fine, but I don't know, for some reason reply makes more sense to me. Okay, so now I just need to listen for both of those types of messages. And the reason I don't want to do this in the hidden info request or the request receiver itself is because that object is only active when we're in the play phase. But you need to make sure that you have a handler for every type of event active at all times. So otherwise Unity will complain. Really need to type that all out. This is actually supposed to be a request. Oh, that's a problem. Oh, no, that's okay. I was gonna say that they have the same name, but they don't. Yeah, I don't know why this isn't complaining because this hidden info message isn't the right type. there we go. Okay, so I'll rename this to hidden info reply as well. Okay, so yeah, I think this is all set up. We want to listen for our hidden info receive. Yeah. Some of these names are starting to get a bit confusing, but okay, so on net message received. Oh yeah, and this should not be override anymore. Okay, so we'll grab that, and yeah, now this is all updated, I think. So here it's seeing if the request is null or the items list is null or the length is 0, we'll just return. So now we're just going to check to make sure that the request actually makes sense. And build in a reply message. Okay, so I think this is all fine. Yeah, so the server should make sure that every item in this request received message actually pertains to us. So I don't think we have to actually check. Okay, so yeah, that's actually what's going on here. First, it grabs the stat index, and then it needs to check to make sure that that exists, and then it checks to make sure the monster is valid index. And then, yeah, if we don't even know the stat, we'll just return false. What else? Like, I don't actually check the player at all. Okay, but anyway, I guess I should check to make sure we're in the right phase. And I don't have to do this anymore. Okay, I see what's going on. So yeah, this receives and then replies as well. Do I want to have that as a different object? Well, no, because yeah, we just receive the request and then we send it back immediately. Yeah, so that's okay. So if play state, let's actually switch. Okay, so what were the one? I'll just copy this actually. Yeah, so if we're in one of these phases, we don't want to. We won't handle these messages right now. Okay, so I think this is fine. The only other thing I can think of is that if they're asking us information about a monster that we don't know about, but I guess that would be caught here because if we don't know the stat, then we can just not send the message back. Okay, but right now it's like... Yeah, if any of the items in here is messed up, we don't send any of this request at all. So maybe I should just not send that specific request back. Okay, so in that case, I need a list, temporary list. So hidden info reply message item. Yeah, so we go ahead. Well, maybe we shouldn't even make this yet. Yeah, because if the list is null. Okay, so if reply items count as 0, then we'll just return. Otherwise, we'll create the message and set items to reply items to array, and then we'll clear this list. Okay. I don't think I need that boolean either. We will need to go ahead and create this item, I think. Yeah, okay, so if this returns true, we'll add the item to the list. I guess I really don't need to instantiate this here. Yeah, okay, so... Okay, so if reply item is not null at this point, we'll actually add it. Okay, yeah, this makes a little more sense, I think. I guess we could do this validation first, so that we don't create this object if it's not needed. Okay, and then here we'll need to return false, or null, I mean. Okay, I think, yeah, that's makes a lot more sense. Okay, yeah, so we just send this message. If for some reason it doesn't get through, the server will ask us again, so it's not that big of a deal to like try to resend this message later. Okay, so now the last piece of the puzzle is this reply receiver. I don't need that. Yeah, this is just the place state. Okay, and then this is like a stat sheet detector. Okay, now what this does is if the player sends us a stat that makes no sense, we'll have to ask the mods to make sure to validate it. So we'll need to switch this up. I think I'll move this in here. Let's go ahead and update it now. Oh yeah, I won't need either of those. It's pretty simple because this class doesn't even use the open call system. It's just an immediate script call. Okay, so yeah, we'd have the monster and the stat, and then I guess just we can pass in the actual value. Okay, so since we have the monster, I'll need to get the monster factory, which just is how I get these Lua objects to send into the scripts. So Lua interface, factories. Okay, so since I have that, I'll need to get the Lua container. Equals Lua context get. I could just do this. I don't have to type that all out again. Okay, stat meta. Okay, let's do it the other way around actually. Okay, there we go. Let's use the same name for that. And then the name for the stat we pass through, and then we'll need to pass through a value, which right now stats only have numerical values, so this actually works fine. But later on, I might allow them to have string values. Say if you, like in Pokemon, if you had a type, you'd want to set the value to fire or whatever. But not supporting that just yet. Okay, and so the scripts will return either true or false. That's not a good name. Let's call this stat sheet detection script error. Okay, so I don't really need that result. We'll just return true or false. Okay, well let's use detector instead of detection, so I'll use the same name up here just to keep it simple. So result is, I guess false will be default. Okay, so if the return value, well, it should never be null because I set it to new nil right here, actually. But let's do that. So if it's not equal null, then we'll check if it's a boolean, and if it's a boolean, then we'll save the result. And remember, this is a representation of a Lua variable, which can be any type, so that's why you have to go through this type of thing. Okay, so let's look and see. Do I have... Yeah, I have stat validator for health, and then a default one. And it's a really simple, just... Yeah, I don't even care about the actual stat name here. I guess I should actually... I don't think I've checked this object, but... Yeah, looks good there. Okay, so anyway, now this is up to date. Okay, and I should make this public. The reply receiver will actually just get that specific object. Okay, and there's nothing useful in this constructor really, so let's just regenerate it so I don't have to type out everything. I'll need the event queue, and I think, yeah, the message queue as well. Okay, so we'll definitely want to listen for the message from the server. So for each message listener, and this is hidden info, reply received. Okay, so on reply. Oh yeah, and this should not be overridden anymore because parent from a different class now. Okay, so what this is doing is it's checking. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. This is one way to do it. So it's actually checking to see if we actually did ask for this specific stat. Which I'm trying to think if that's actually worthwhile to do or not. Okay, so if I do want to do that, I'll need to move this. Oops. I'll need to move this object outside and then make this list available to both classes, which might be okay. That would also mean I can get rid of this, but that'll also mean that I don't really want to do that because then in tick I need to check to see. Well, let me see. Maybe not. Okay, that might be the best way to do it. I want to have this, and then here I want to store this, and oops. Okay, so this will have a list. Okay, well, I shouldn't make it private actually. We'll have a list of open requests, and also I'll need to have a boolean that will just let me know if this list has changed. Could do an event as well. I don't know, it doesn't really make much difference. Okay, so what this would do, so now I need to actually get a handle on this object. Okay, so I guess, okay, well, I'll have this class actually control this open request for the most part. Okay, and yeah, instead of using the rebuild message, we'll just tag or set that change flag to true. Okay, actually this class doesn't really need this anymore. Because the other class is actually going to take care of it. Okay, that's so let me see here. Okay, so the only problem, I guess, is that now I can't guarantee that this tickable will run. Well, okay, what I'll have to do is I'll just have to make sure that the open request or the reply receiver runs before the request sender. Which should be fine. I guess let me go ahead and... So I remember that I actually need to do that, set up some priorities here. So hidden info request sender, and that needs to run after the hidden info reply receiver. And then yeah, this request receiver, it doesn't really matter when it runs. Okay, so anyway, now that I have that, Okay, so yeah, when we can um, remove this request ourselves here now. So okay, let's actually send an index here. Let me see, how do I want to do this? So fulfilled request. Let's rename this to fulfilled index. Okay, we can, so I guess I can just pass this. I could like pass the information about it, but I don't really know actually why it needs this information, because they contain the same type of thing. Okay, so fulfilled request type. Okay, well, let's actually send the request, and then I'll just send the value out of the message item. Okay, actually, yeah, that was the reason why I sent both, is because if we have different float and string values, so I guess I'll just leave it. Although now I flipped around the arguments, which make much difference, but anyway, so okay, so used to we would send a event, which I guess I still need to do. But this, let's received event. I think I'll make that into a different method just to keep this method from getting gigantic. Okay, and now I need to remove the open request. So open requests, remove at full build index, and need to set the change to true. And then this exception would just be events, queue, new, exception, event. There we go. Okay, so one other thing I need to do is also make sure that I'm in phase at this point. So, and it's just gonna match up with this again, so. Alright, so let's update this now. So I was going to try to find the fulfilled request for this item. Why do I create a new one? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so it doesn't actually return the index of the request. This is kind of silly. That's what this was doing. Okay, so I guess what it did was transform this into the request item and then looked for equality. I don't really think I need to do that. So this way, open equals open requests. Okay, so yeah, if the types are the same. And open dot owner index equals item. Yeah, we'll need to change this later. Okay, and also I don't know the stat index. Okay, let's see. Private int get stat index. I think, do I already have the database? Yeah, I do. The database, don't I? Yeah, I already have the name map, so if database at name map try get value. Okay, I need to lower the index. Otherwise it will return -1. So if we get a bad reply, should I throw an error or just kind of ignore that? Also, can't I just... Yeah, this doesn't need to be an out variable. And then if fulfilled index is greater than or equal to 0. So then open dot stat index. Okay, so if this is not... Like if this name isn't found, this would just return -1. Which obviously won't be equal to any stat index in there, so that is fine. Oh, these types don't match up. That's a bit annoying. Okay, but I guess I need to leave it that way. Pitbull, translate net enum. I don't remember what it's called. Oops, that's not how you start that. So right now we just have monster stat, so... Oh right, I have the wrong thing here. So hidden info request type. Okay, yeah, these names are a bit crazy. So this works for now. Yeah, now I just return the index. This should be default, actually. There we go. Okay, so I don't need that at all. Missing the semicolon. Okay, so now it gets the index that matches that item, and if it exists, then we do a try catch around it, and then we could throw an error. Okay, so yeah, this should change to owner index. Now I think about it, I'm gonna extract this whole method and change it to store received monster stat. Okay, and then I guess I still don't know if I should throw an error because I mean, if we get a bad hidden info request, we just don't have to reply or store it. It's not like it's not gonna end the game. Okay, but anyway, but I don't really need to send all this information. I can just send the monster index, the stat index, and then the actual statistic object. But I guess maybe we want this function to figure that all out. So yeah, let's just leave it how it was. Although we could, yeah, I think it actually might be better this way. So I could type. And then new statistic. And yeah, it would just be the item float value. It's known. Okay, let's get rid of that debug for now. We can come back. Okay, so this is gonna call the stat sheet detector, but it actually just returns a Boolean now. Okay, so if this is true, then that means that it passed the cheat detection. So I don't really need to do that because we already have the stat value here. Yeah, so we actually set the value there. Okay, so yeah, I remember what I was complaining about here, or thinking about, is that you've got to make sure that this battle log has the initial values for all stats. But the thing is, and so I was worried that like the value could change before we actually have to ask about it. But I think the issue is that if you ever change the value, you'd have to know the starting value. So I think that that issue probably won't ever come up, but I'll just leave that note just in case. But that's what I was worried about. Okay, so I guess we would throw an error if there was cheating detected. Don't need to do that anymore. And received. Oh, right. Okay, so this is just sending the event back that we received something. Q, new, hidden info received. Okay, I guess we'll need the request value. Yeah, we'll just type everything over. Okay, so I think I might be done with all this. Let me see. So I did delete it already? Okay. I don't have on received anymore. I thought I might not have done that yet. Okay, so we're done on the client side. Let's go ahead and just set up these classes to be created, and then I'll go look at the server. Okay, so I've got to resolve the new hidden info dot open requests object. Okay, so the requests. Okay, so the reply receiver has a specific picking priority, doesn't it? And the request receiver does not, so this could just be on normal. And then the request sender needs to run after the reply receiver, so... Okay. So that's good, and I think back in Lua I need to go ahead and instantiate this hidden info request handler, and also the Lua side. And the Lua container. What do they call it? Hidden info requests. And did I finish all that actually? And in here... Okay, so yeah, this is simple. It doesn't actually care about that reply event, but I might as well just queue it in case something ever does. But yeah, it just checks at the beginning of every frame if the monster stat is known without actually listening for an event or anything. So yeah, this is fine. Okay, let's make sure everything runs. And we should start getting messages sent out from the client. Is this an error? Oh, this little object registry. Kind of ready to just, yeah, I just need to delete it, but I don't know how many errors that will cause the waterfall. Oh, yeah, I already did some here. Oh, I thought I refactored this so this wouldn't be an issue. Sometimes that doesn't always work if there's other errors in the scene, so not a huge deal. Okay, yeah, so we're getting errors. Okay, so it's a null reference. That's okay. So yeah, we get the requesting speed for egg dino. And this info handler is not... Oh, right, because I think I didn't or bind to this object. So back here. Oh, I guess it's in the game actually. Oh yeah, so that's why this context bind is here. Because I need to first initialize this object, which creates it and adds it to the ticking list. But then I also want to bind it in the context so that other classes can get a handle on it if they need. Okay. So that should deal with that. Okay, so it actually, I forgot. Everything will just work right now because it requests speed, but obviously since there's only one client, us, then we know all the speeds for all monsters, so it doesn't actually have to send anything, and so it's just sorted the players. Okay, so that's fine, but I actually do want to test messaging, so I'm going to kind of cheat. I need to think of a way, an easy way to do it so that the game will think that it needs to send a request until we actually receive a request. Well, I guess... let me see. First of all, I have way too many objects open up here, so let's clear that out. Okay, so the first thing we get... when Lua calls an object, first it checks some things here. Okay, so yeah, when we get to this part, we only throw this event if the monster stat is not known. So I kind of just need, excuse me, to have this return false at this point, but then it needs to start returning true once we receive an event. Let me see here. It'd be nice if I had like a couple values here. So let's try something. I mean, this is maybe a bit strange, but okay. So stat known state. Okay, let's do it this way. And debug. So in debug mode, it will actually be known, but certain systems of the game will see it as unknown. My idea. So it's going to be a little strange to change this from a boolean to an enumeration, but I think it will be okay. So let's just do this. String format. That was actually a bug, but I'm not sure if anything actually uses these functions. Okay, some do. I could just go ahead and have this as well. Enum stat data type. Yeah, maybe it's just a good idea to do that. So yeah, it's not really needed right now, but I think in the future it'll be a good idea. In case I ever do add string values, which I think would be useful. Okay, so this, I guess the stat known state, known and data type number. Yeah, I don't actually really know if I'll use these functions, but okay, let's interesting. Yeah, because depending on the type, this value may or may not matter, but I guess when that comes, I can try and fix it. Oh, what's it? It didn't generate that function correctly for me. Okay, there we go. Yeah, because the type may, or like if this isn't a number, then we'd want to use some other value, but yeah, when that actually, when I actually implement different types, we can deal with that. Anyway, so what was the reason? Oh yeah, because I wanted to implement this debug mode. So what will happen here is a monster stat will say it's known only if it's actually known. But down here in the request receiver, we'd only throw an error here if the state is unknown. So if it's debug, then we will treat it as being known here. Okay, so there's probably some other errors that came about as me changing all that stuff, so let me see here. Okay, yeah, and here we'll say it's only known if it's known, not in debug. Okay, and then this will always set it to purely known, that's the whole point. Okay, so the only other thing I need to do is where we create the monsters in this testing defaults creator, I need to set the statistics as debug. Where do I do the statistics? Oh, I just get the values directly from the float. Okay. Okay, that's fine. But what I actually want to do is use a constructor so I can set it to debug mode. Okay, so that should be fine. So now what should happen is, since I've set it to debug, as I say, we actually know the value, but Lua is going to not know the value, if that makes sense. So it'll have to send out a request. But then once we receive the request back from ourselves, it will be flagged as known for real. And then Lua should move on. Let's actually check. So what's happening? Event queued him info request. Okay, and then the request sender received both of those, but it didn't start sending anything. Okay, so let's see, something going on here. Well, no, I do add it. So I was gonna say it. We're gonna get a message whenever this sends something over the network. Okay, let's just start by bug log. Let's test that first. Okay, so for some reason it's not getting even to the part where it's printing out this. So that means, oh, I did this backwards. So this should be if it's not accepting. I wonder if I've done that in other things. So the reply receiver, if it's any of those, then it returns. Okay. Okay, let's check. Oh yeah, so now it's actually sending the message, we can see. But on the server, we don't have any handler for that connection or for that message channel. And so Lua's just complaining about that. And that's like what I was saying, right? You need to make sure that you always have a listener hooked up to every possible channel. Alright, so that's as far as we can test on the client side. Okay, so the only confusing thing about this is that the server tries to like kind of pool all the requests so that it only has to send, like, say a bunch of different players send a request all to the same player for the same thing. Then it would try to pool those together and remember which players asked for what. But I wonder if I actually really want to worry about that right now, because it's kind of complicated. Let's see. Server better pooling of hidden info requests. Yeah, so I think right now I'm just going to go super simple. And just whenever I receive something, just send it out to the player that has that information. Combining and routing of hidden info requests. And then when I receive a reply, I'll just send it to all players, which is not how it will work in the final game, but it will be fine for now, I think. Okay, so first off, I want to change this to fly receiver. Let's see, so it looks like I kinda did some, but I remember I didn't fully complete it. So I don't really think there's much point in saving this temporary work. Okay, so first off, I need a list of connections and clients. I don't actually, I don't need both, do I? Let me see. So yeah, I think I can just get away with this actually. Yeah, also I just remember another thing I need to do here is handle sending requests to a guest to the parent client. Yeah, because a guest doesn't have a client. So, but the clients don't really know that. So if there's a request to a guest player, the server should send it to the parent client. Okay, so well, this is actually good. So maybe I'll just type this out for once. The event queue and active client sender. Oh yeah, and the connections. Oh, what happened there? Okay, so on received requests first, we've got to make sure. Oh yeah, so I do need the server phase. Or what's it called? The servers. Okay, there it is. Okay, so first I need to make sure that we're in the play state, and I guess that's all. We could be a little bit more exact, but the server doesn't really care that much. Oh, you got the wrong thing there. Okay, and then let's see, so int. Okay, so yeah, this is actually the client ID. And this will be -1 if the client has not been validated yet. So if that is true and client ID is greater than or equal to 0, then a validated client actually sent us this message. Okay, and now I just compile the messages and everything, but like I said, I'm just going to not worry about that for now. And we'll just send this send this request to all players. Okay, so hidden info request, and yeah, I'll just forward that. So yeah, we're just gonna be very simple right now. But yeah, later on, like if this request message had requests to a bunch of different clients, well, first I would resolve the players into client IDs and then compile those lists into different lists for each player. And then we'd probably wait a second or two to see if more come in and then send them all out in a batch. But we don't have to do that now. So what's next thing? This request registry. I guess I'll just leave this as well, but not really going to be useful. So what is this doing? Oh yeah, so it's compiling pretty much the same thing, except it's compiling received messages. So maybe just copy this, because I think all we'll do again is when we receive a message, I'll just send the reply to all players too. Okay, so this should be hidden info reply. Oops. What's it called? Oh, I didn't rename this. Okay, I renamed the server side one. Alright, so yeah, it's basically the same thing. And I guess this little validation is fine. But it doesn't really matter a whole lot. Okay, so... I'll add validation here too, because we also need to make sure that clients don't try to ask themselves for information, because that might lead to a loop. And yeah, request should also time out here on the server. I'll leave a note for me. Timeout request. So yeah, if a request stays for too long without a reply, we just would remove the request from our cache. Yeah, I don't really... Well, this should be a little smarter, but all that combining, it is nice, but... Well, I don't know. It might be kind of fun to do, but I don't really know if it's that needed. Okay, so let's just initialize those two new objects. So we have this, and they can just both be normal. Okay, so I think that's all I have to do here, and now the whole system should work. Unless there's another error somewhere, which could happen. It looks like we might not be able to get to animations today either. Yeah, this is taking a bit longer than I thought it would, but it is a pretty complicated system. There's a lot of messages flying all over the place. Okay, so another null reference. Let's see where it got to though. Oh, 2 actually. Probably because it tried to resend the message, so it triggered everything again. Okay, so the client sent a request, the server then sent the request back. Okay, and then the client sent a reply, and then the server sent a reply back. Okay, so yeah, the reply receiver had a null reference. Oh, I didn't create the stat cheat detector object, so let's do that. Okay, so now it went all the way through to generate actions. So queue the information received. Okay, and then yeah, it said the selection sort of finished because I guess the Lua script could move on. Okay, that's cool. Looks like we're all done. Alright, so let's see if I can get up to the animation system so we can actually maybe start on that tomorrow. So back in action sequencing now, the flow manager. So on selection sorted, it moves to generate actions, but I don't think anything does this yet. No. So do I have... I don't have the action generator yet, so let's add that. So what this does, it's basically the class that takes care of calling this function. So for every selection, we call the getActions function associated with that ability. And so that translates the ability into a sequence of actions and animations. So I think I'll get up to at least calling this, but we probably won't start on actually implementing most of this code because I want to change some things. Like for example, I have, like when I actually do the move, I have this actions object, but I'd rather just call do move on the monster itself. So monster do move, and then we just give it the target position. Same thing with here. That's one thing I want to update. Most, everything else I think is fine. Okay, so what will this need? So I have this. Let's let's put ability at the beginning, I guess. Okay, so I don't need this stuff. And it's going to be a lot simpler too. We don't need any of that. We'll need the Lua. Yeah, the cache, because I'll need to grab stuff out of it. And then open calls. Okay, so factories I'll get as well. Okay, so let's see. Let's delete this and then I'll regenerate the constructor. And I also need the Lua Tamer, because I'll need to get the Lua factories for player, monster, and ability. Yeah, monster. Okay, and so here factory equals Lua context get. I'll do the same for those other two, but I don't want to type that all out again. Okay, so here, what will I send back? I guess nothing? Oh no, I sent back the open call. And then And for the parameters, it's I guess I can just pass the turn selection object. Okay, what's the definition? Let's see. Try get memory from get options, yeah. And now what's it complaining about? Oh yeah, this changed to option index. Yeah, so this should never actually happen, but okay, what did I change this to? Okay, so get action arguments. Oh. This should be get actions arguments, but maybe I didn't rename that yet. Oh yeah, it's still the old name, so let's change this to ability get actions arguments. Okay, I must have used this. Okay, I renamed this for sorting, I guess, but can I also just use it as a turn selection? It doesn't actually have anything about sorting in here, so let me rename this to ability selection. Okay, and then yeah, we just have the selection object. I guess that's fine. What am I looking for? Okay, so now I can actually call the factories. Oops, wrong thing. And not least memory. Okay, and I do store the data in here. I don't really know if that will be that much useful or much use for me here, but it's okay. Oh yeah, that's supposed to be a comma. Okay, so this is the old system. Actually, I should generate all helper, shouldn't I? How do I do it before? Or how did I do it before? Okay, so this should be get. Okay, this is old things, so let's call this get actions. Okay, so it basically allows everything. Okay, so yeah, allow that. Oh yeah, hidden info requests. Allow animations. Allow actions. Allow pathfinding. Allow audio. And we also need to tag it as logging animations because that just lets it know that it shouldn't play animations immediately, but instead put them in a list for later. So anything else I need to do with this? Well, these are part of the old system, so yeah, this looks fine. Okay, that's part of the old system as well, which we'll update tomorrow. Okay, and really, don't think I need to do anything here. Because this class doesn't really return anything, it just gets deposited in various lists as it runs. Okay, so here we'll need the ability, action, Lua color. And then we'll need the sequence or selection. And I need... I'm not sure if I'll need this, but I'll grab it. Because we might... I'm not sure if this class will handle putting things into this action list or not. I guess I won't include it unless I need it for sure. Do need the events though. Okay, but... Okay, well I know this is wrong. My stream thing says I've only been live for an hour and a half, but I know I've been live actually for an hour, so... I mean for 2 hours, so... I think we better stop it here. It's a good point, and... Yeah, I'm hungry. I need to go get something to eat. Okay, but yeah, I'm a little sad we didn't get to the animations, but that's okay. I forgot how involved the hidden info requests are, so... It's kind of how netcode goes, I've noticed. But, yeah, thanks everybody for coming by and watching. I really appreciate it. I'll be live tomorrow at about noon Eastern, and we'll finish up for the week. And hopefully, at least, get a big chunk out of the animation system. And, yeah, feel free to follow me here on Twitch if you want to be notified when I go live. Or you can check out my Twitter. I always post there. I also have a YouTube channel where you can see any past streams if you've... want to see how the game used to look or just miss something and you like to catch up. And finally, I have a Discord server and you can chat with me throughout the day. I'd love to have you, but I'll put links in chat, or you can check out the video description if you're watching from YouTube. And yeah, I think that's it for me. So yeah, have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.